Hello, and welcome to Joleedo Gamescast. It's E3 week, and we are talking about the best of the show. Our favorites, our awards, the stuff we loved, and even some of the stuff we didn't like so much, our disappointments, and, comments on things maybe we wish we could have seen that wasn't there. Today I have Derek Dover.
And might I say, Jason, that was an excellent introduction there. Much better than the first try.
Whoa. We're one-take wonders here. There aren't any other tries. This is the only one.
You think you're Clint Eastwood now? No, you're not a one-take wonder. I'm sorry. We'll get there. But until then, we have our awkward intros and a couple retries, and then we get it.
We always get it. That's what's important.
But and yes, hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet. And we have Alex Lee.
That's me.
All right, you guys, before we get into E3, I have an announcement to make.
So this is the announcement that you were going to mention before. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. This is a good thing.
Okay. This is not the other thing.
Great.
Okay, this is not the attack.
This is the final episode of Joleedo.
It's been fun, everyone.
No, the announcement is that we have crossed the 100 listens.
What?
For all of our episodes so far. We are at over 100 listens total.
Wow.
I feel that's cause for celebration.
That is an exciting moment. I'm gonna take a shot of my hot coffee. So worth it.
So, thank you all for out there listening to us. This is fun. We do this for fun. We're not making money on this.
No.
But we do. No.
We welcome it, though. We do welcome it.
But, we do to have, hopefully interesting conversations about games. Mm-hmm. And, thanks for listening. And we hope you enjoy and continue to listen.
And hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we will just continue getting better and better as we get more comfortable.
Absolutely.
And, settle into our skins, so to speak.
Yeah, unpolished right now is the name of the game. But every episode, we strive to get a little bit better.
Yeah, that's how it goes with anything in life. You just gotta keep going, and you just smooth those edges one week at a time.
And that actually reminds me, we still haven't recorded an episode 0 to actually properly introduce ourselves to everyone. We're not going to do that now, but at some point we will do it.
Yeah.
But this week, or in this episode rather, we are wrapping up E3 2016.
Well, are we? I guess we can wrap it up because I was thinking, I'm sure we're going to have an entire episode dedicated to certain games.
Absolutely.
I guess those technically won't be E3 episodes. Those will just be game episodes.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, celebrating the week that is E3, and right now, everyone else, they're getting their top 10 list together, their best ofs, and
yep.
And, I feel it'd be fun to have a discussion and figure out what hours are.
Hours.
That's the next episode. But yeah, let's...
And you're a writer, are you?
Oh, shots fired.
I was just wondering.
Marking down the timestamp for this one to delete that. No, seriously. Well, I am a writer, but we'll do all that later. Episode 0, stay tuned. For now, we're talking about video games. And I say, let's start where, E3 always begins. It begins with the conferences. Mm. So real quick, let's just, let's iron out who had the best showing. Before we get into the games, let's talk about the companies. The men and women who actually make the games that we celebrate.
Should we go for worst or best? I feel I haven't seen your lists yet, but I feel like they're probably the same.
Well, in terms of conference?
Yeah, best and worst conference.
Yeah, I mean, let's go with best. Derek, what was the best conference of E3?
Definitely Sony, hands down. For me, they have been on a roll since they announced PS4, and they've killed it. Whether it's their own PlayStation experience at E3, they've had a few hiccups here and there. Like I think that their last PlayStation experience, they had that pretty terrible VR demo. But yeah, overall, they've just been killing these conferences. And the games they announced at their conference were, they just, what can I say, man? They blew minds. I think the best way to explain Sony's conference is the GIF that's been going around. And I think the title was everyone's reaction after the PlayStation press conference, and it was the picture of oh crap, brain fart. What's his name?
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus, and they photoshopped the PS4 in his arms while he's crying. Like that basically sums up how me and everybody else felt about that conference. Really good. I think I sent that to you, Jason. If for any listeners, check that out. They've got a whole bunch of edited GIFs of Norman Reedus holding various things. It's quite entertaining if you just want a few giggles. But yeah, they absolutely killed it. Great announcements. I think we talked about it the episode before last. Like just jumped right in with God of War. And then they just kept just nailing these awesome announcements and reveals and trailers and everything. So, yeah, they delivered. The only thing I didn't like about it at the end, and I guess it's not that I didn't like it, but everyone was expecting Neo. And I'm pretty sure that after Microsoft revealed everything they're doing, that Sony was like, let's take a step back and let's not announce that, and we'll just throw a couple minutes of Days Gone gameplay there in the end.
Yeah, Neo is an interesting topic for discussion, and in terms of news, like that's a big piece that requires that discussion. I think just like any new hardware announcements and. We'll save that for a later date, but
yep.
It's a thing. It is coming. It is probably coming this year. Even today, sifting through the news this morning, Digital Foundry's Richard Ledbetter, he posted that he has sources saying that Neo is this year. Like even after E3, even after kind of the dodging of when are we going to hear more about the hardware. Like he says, it's coming and it's sooner rather than later. So expect, an announcement followed quickly by a launch, which we haven't seen that too often in this industry. So that should be really interesting. But in terms of conferences, Alex, do you agree that Sony killed it? Maybe more than anyone else.
Hands down. Derek really hit the nail on the head with pretty much everything. Sony blew it out of the park with in terms of kind of things we expected, things we didn't expect, and outside of the no discussion of Neo, there was kind of nothing that I would have liked to have had more. And the point about pulling back on Neo as a result of the Xbox and the Microsoft announcements makes total sense.
Yeah, for sure. I also agree. I think Sony clearly had the best conference this year. And that's not to say that, that the others are bad, aside from one, which we will comment on in a second. It's, I thought Microsoft had a great show. But the difference is...
The orchestra.
Well, yeah.
That was the difference. Kidding. That was fantastic. I really wish they would do that for every conference now. It was just beautiful.
Well, why not? Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I'd love to see that happen every year. I'd love to see, because Nintendo did that in the past with the Skyward Sword release E3 2011, I believe. And I'd love to see Microsoft open up again with a big orchestra dedicated to Halo or some other series of theirs, Gears of War music, whatever it is. In the past, maybe 10 years ago, they did something similar. But I love stuff like that. And I think with Sony, the advantage they have for people who watch the conferences is that they are rapid fire games. They don't even really bother. They haven't bothered in 2 years with hardware announcements. They didn't showcase PSVR, like the actual headset this year. They just said, here are the games for it. Yeah, check it out at the booth. It's coming out in October. Like they keep it very simple, very succinct. And I think that's proven to be a strength during E3 when people want to see games. There's a lot of BS that occurs at some of these other conferences, especially the longer ones, where Like Ubisoft did a lot of interviews where they brought out people behind some of the games that they were showcasing, and they sat down for 10, 20 minutes and had an interview. And then you'd see something. And it's not that that's not interesting. It's just, I think for the target audience, at least the gaming community.
Well, that's I at least appreciate those better than traumatic monologues leading into an hour and a half of a sports game.
Right.
So we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I can't. Who was it now? I can't remember.
So before we jump to EA, I mean the worst. Whoever the worst.
I mean, well, here you're spoilers.
I just want to say that, like Bethesda, Ubisoft, and Microsoft, they had really, really strong shows. All of them have different approaches. I just think Sony has they understand the format that works well. And in the same breath, I will say, even though Nintendo doesn't have a traditional conference anymore, like what they show at E3, how they demonstrate their games that are coming out over the next year or so, like that's probably maybe still the best company, or at least the best way of showing it right now. Xbox has Xbox Daily during 2 of the days of the show where you can watch Major Nelson and a couple other hosts kind of, they'll interview developers and they'll show off games and it's really fun. It's about an hour long, but no one does like the 5 to 8 hour marathons that Nintendo does, showing off all kinds of new stuff. They dedicated. Oh yeah, go ahead.
For all the problems we have with Nintendo and all the frustrations, when they hit it, they hit it, and the way they do their conferences and presentations and the tree houses. Yep. And oh my God, I keep forgetting this word. The
direct.
Direct. Jeez, direct. It's such anyway. Yeah, I think that's the future of conferences for a lot of companies. You're right. I love the way Nintendo does that.
The conferences are about making an impact. It's about announcements and making an impact. And Nintendo, for the last 3 years that they've done the Treehouse Live at E3, like they've killed it, in my opinion. And they show stuff that you would never dedicate a half hour to.
Yep.
One other thing I was going to say about Sony that has really impressed me is how and I'll say this about Phil Spencer as well. I love how Sony really puts their head guys out and kind of builds up those personalities. Yeah. And they've picked such great personalities like Shuhei Yoshida, like Adam Boyes. God,
one of the two.
I swear, I still so regret talking to him and thinking, oh God, did I just mispronounce his name? I need somebody to clarify that for me. I just need to make sure. But
Adam, sorry.
Yeah, Shuhei and Adam and now Sean Layden. Sean did such a fantastic job. Like when he first came out several years ago, he was like, I don't know how I feel about this guy, but I remember his first year coming out for PlayStation. It was he just felt a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And then I guess it was last year he came out and he looked like he looked so modern and dressed, and he had those nice shoes. I think
he had going.
Yeah, he had the beard going. That was cool, and he didn't have that, but man, his presentation was so good and so comfortable and calm and collected. And it was just like your buddies talking to you. He was so cool. And I really appreciated that. So he's really, really grown on me.
Yes.
And yeah, I just wanted to say that for the PlayStation press conference.
As fans of E3, when you watch for years on end,
mm-hmm.
you do get used to the personalities that you see every year.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, E3 without Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo.
Yeah.
And when Jack Tretton was at Sony, was at mm-hmm. PlayStation. I remember the first year he was there and he was a nervous wreck. And I think the nerves remain for the next 6 years. And then it's when he was done, when he was getting ready to retire from that position, he had ascended.
Yep. That's he had nothing left to worry about. So
no, and it's when Kaz Hirai was running PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
every year, like waiting for COD to come out. Like that was a big deal. And now that role, has been filled by Andrew House, and some of these other guys now, Adam and Sean. But yeah, I think they're great. And, you can, like you were saying, Derek, you can say something similar about Phil Spencer.
Though I'm not an Xbox guy, I really, really like Phil. Just listening to all the interviews he's done on like the Giant Bombcast, he was on there for their E3 presentation. Just such a great guy, and it seems like his head and his heart are in the right place for the gaming industry. And I have a lot of respect for him.
Absolutely, I do too. I mean, he's the right man to be the head of Xbox right now in this environment. Kind of picking up the pieces after the Xbox One reveal and the Xbox One launch. There was a lot of uncertainty about the future of Xbox as a platform, and anyway, he's righted the ship, and he's not just a gamer. Like, he comes from development, I believe. Well, he was the head of first party titles. He was talking about on the Giant Bombcast, which is a fantastic interview. If you have any questions or remaining confusion about Xbox Scorpio or Xbox One S as to who is each device for and what's the difference and is a Scorpio for me if I don't have a 4K TV, is things like that.
That's the interview that I'm thinking of.
He clears up everything amazingly well. I watched that and I wanted to applaud. It's like, well, why you should have just had that be part of the conference. But yeah, he's a good guy. He was talking on that show about how he was part of the team, or maybe just because of his leadership role there, that shipped Shadowrun on Xbox 360. And Shadowrun is such an interesting game. I played it for a while. It was not well received or didn't sell too well either. But it was Shadowrun is a classic RPG franchise, and they turned it into a shooter, an online cross-platform shooter between 360 and PC. And it was just really different. And I thought it was really interesting and fun. But, now they regret ever taking that approach. But, that's the kind of guy Phil Spencer is. He's not afraid to take a chance, and he fights for gamers. He is a gamer. And he's the dude to do it right now at Microsoft, in my opinion.
So for all these companies doing it right, were there any companies that maybe you weren't so crazy about this year? Any conferences that didn't go so hot?
EA.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. That is an interesting point.
Sorry, was that too blunt? I'll soften it. Possibly Electronic Arts. They had a weaker showing this year, in my opinion.
and why was that? Why was that, Jason?
Sports.
Oh, sports. That is interesting.
We talked a lot about Sony and EA's press conferences in episode 3 of the Gamescast, and I don't want to rake EA through the coals more than that. It's just, for me, it's not about the content that you show. It's how you present it.
Right.
And I have no problem with Madden and FIFA and any of the sports titles that they do. They make great sports games. A ton of people buy them.
Yeah, that's bread and butter. Those are their biggest sellers.
Absolutely. It's not about that. It's just, we expected, I think, maybe too much out of EA this year because they have the license for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, oh, no, go ahead.
No, it's just, you're right. The biggest things we expected, they didn't really deliver on. The two things, everybody wanted to hear everything going on with Star Wars, and they wanted to see a lot more with Mass Effect. We didn't really get either. We got these kind of collage. I don't even know what you'd call it. They said basically, here's a couple of things we're doing with Mass Effect, and here's a couple of things we're doing with Star Wars. We're not really going to show you anything, but we'll tell you a couple of vague details, and there you go. You happy? Let's talk about FIFA.
So
here is a dramatic monologue.
So I'd pose a question for you then. Would you have preferred to just have no Star Wars content or no Mass Effect content rather than what we got?
See, now you're talking sense, and I don't like that. I just want to live on my emotions here for a second, okay? Uh, no,
I
you're
mean,
right. They needed to show something. Um, I think it was just tough because nothing really clicked with me for their whole conference. Um, Even like some of the stage presentations, the announcements, like not announcing games, but like the people coming out, it was a little awkward, a little strange. Them starting off talking about the NFL in England while they were doing the press conference in London. It's like don't talk about the NFL out there. I know you need to make a transition, but they don't want to hear about the NFL. And I think that what really stuck out to me, of course, as I keep mentioning this, that dramatic monologue for FIFA The Journey. Nothing was really great. There was just nothing great. Again, I understand they need to talk about FIFA. I understand they need to talk about Madden. But I don't know. It's just there wasn't anything great about the entire thing.
The type of stuff that we are more interested in. I think, I don't know, I wouldn't say that they promised that they were going to, blow out Mass Effect or show off 3 new Star Wars titles. They never made that promise, but I think there is an assumption when or an expectation rather, when it is E3, and for EA, it's a big day for them not to really show anything. And what they did show was basically, we'll tell you more later. I think that's where I have the problem. Their videos were fantastic. I mean, great production behind both the Mass Effect and the Star Wars videos. I mean, those are slick-looking videos. And it is exciting to see kind of bits and pieces and hints and whatnot. But I think for some of us, it just felt like, we've waited a long time and we thought this was going to be it. And now we have to wait longer. So,
yeah, that's
bad.
why. Sorry. That's why I posed the question of. I wasn't trying to be facetious. I think I honestly would have rather had nothing than what we saw from Star Wars.
Oh, you were being facetious. Gotcha.
And so because if seeing this stuff that's like not doing it for us and just kind of getting this like meek teaser, it really doesn't set the stage for like good things to come. I would have rather had like a year of silence while they're hard at work and then like blow out E3 2017 with like just a polished Mass Effect and like 3 Star Wars titles. But instead we kind of just go, hey, we're working on it, but we're not far enough along yet.
Well, even though you were being facetious, you do have my gears turning right now. I guess maybe it's not that I think they had the worst presentation. It's just that they have all these things that I really wanted to hear about, and they just didn't deliver that. But y'all are right. They didn't promise it. They even pulled out of E3.
Yeah.
So
and now we know why.
Yeah, you're right. And so I guess it's less that they had a bad show and more that I just really, really wanted to hear more about Star Wars and Mass Effect.
Right.
Yeah. And they're not ready. And if they're not ready, that's the way it is. So maybe I'm just crying over nothing.
So,
but still, overall, I would still say they had the worst conference. Still, that considered.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. And to transition into awards time.
Yes.
And some of our best and worst of E3, mostly best. We've been a little down on EA for the last 10 minutes or so, but we love them. We love their games. They make some great stuff. And we just want to see all of these companies succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of feel it. We've, when they suffer, when they don't have the best shows, when something embarrassing happens, we feel it.
Yeah. I look at it like Nintendo. I am a hardcore Nintendo fanboy. I love Nintendo, which is why I feel okay to be extra critical of them.
Right.
Like, EA and I we've had our problems. We've had our disagreements, but Mass Effect and Star Wars are huge parts of my life. So it's not that I have take personal issue with them. It's just, they have what I love, so I just I expect more. But
So
it's because I love them and their games.
absolutely. So aside from Mass Effect, and Star Wars, and their showing this year at E3, what were some of your other disappointments from the show?
Oh, is that where we're starting with the disappointment award?
Yeah, because like to be honest, before we did this, I made a list of 5 disappointments that I could think of, and they were more so, not necessarily like bad things. I think this was actually a pretty successful E3, all things considered.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I had a tough time whittling down all of our awards categories to 3 or even 5. Like sometimes it felt like an impossible task because sure there might be 1 or 2 standouts in my mind, but then there are maybe 10 other just really really strong games, and we don't want to ignore those, and hopefully we won't. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about them at least a little bit in the show, but. Yeah, my first 2 disappointments with this year's E3 were Mass Effect and Star Wars. After that, one thing for me that we talked about during when we reflected on Sony's conference was, the lack of AAA VR titles. This is the year that VR goes mainstream, and I think a title like Resident Evil goes a long ways to sell, console gamers on the prospect of VR.
Yep.
And the announcement from Bethesda about Fallout 4 coming to HTC Vive sometime next year, like that's great too. But of course, that's really far off. So this year, trying to find like, okay, what are the titles that I'm really gonna spend a lot of time with, and some of them were not shown at the conferences. Like Riggs was not shown at the conference. It was there last year and had a great showing, and this year I've heard it's also been a strong showing. Robinson, The Journey from Crytek, that's another launch title for PSVR, and not just talking about PSVR titles, but for Oculus Rift or HTC Vive. I think a lot of people out there, including myself, were waiting for like the quote unquote real games to come. The tech demos, experiences are fine, but I'm not saying I want Call of Duty in virtual reality, but I would like to see something on that scale, that production value, and that type of dedication. And like competitive games are really interesting. Riggs is a good example of that. Potentially being like the killer app multiplayer title for PSVR. It feels like it could have that type of staying power, whether it's via like virtual reality, esports, or whatever they call it, or maybe it's just fun online play. But I think for me, I'm looking for more of that stuff, and I don't know if I got it, to be honest. There's some great looking VR titles, Farpoint, the Mars thing for PSVR, that looks great. Battlefront, the Batman thing. I mean, those could be really really cool, and hopefully they are. But aside from Resident Evil, like, where are they?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Alex, what was another disappointment for you this year, or did you have any disappointments?
I guess so. For me, like my top 2, just like yourself, were Mass Effect and Star Wars, and then the only one that really came to mind after that was it kind of comes back to the nostalgia factor of rolling out old IPs and trying to kind of make more money off of them. And so sometimes I feel like that really works well, and like it doesn't ever feel like a nostalgia grab. Like, I mean, we're still gushing about Zelda years later and all very excited about it, but is the Crash Bandicoot bringing him back out, it really didn't feel kind of, I guess, genuine's not the right word, but it didn't wow me. I mean, I know we talked about this before and not all of us really played it. I know I didn't really play it a ton back in the day, but it didn't really do anything for me.
And I don't want to get into this because Nintendo cannot defend themselves in terms of having like a conference presence, and they're not showing off NX titles, so we don't know what they have cooking. But when you talk about IP, I immediately think of Nintendo and like where where the hell is Metroid? Where is, Wii U never even got an Animal
You
Crossing
had to say
title,
the M word.
aside from the like Mario Party ripoff game, whatever that was. Like there have been a lot of no shows from the House of Mario. Even though I think Wii U actually has a really, really strong catalog of these kind of gems. It's just, not a lot of them, but that comes with the territory when you have a console that doesn't sell well.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, I don't want to rail into them for that, because this year they were very, very clear that they were really only showcasing Zelda. And the rest, like Ever Oasis from Grezzo and the Mario Party game on 3DS and Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Pokemon Sun and Moon, like those were kind of bonuses.
You know what?
And they were great.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny when I was sitting here making my list, thinking about the disappointments. I didn't even. And again, let me begin by saying I love Nintendo and all their IPs.
Okay, I do.
But when I was sitting here making my list of disappointments, Nintendo did not even cross my mind, because they've just disappointed me for so long about so many things. I guess it's just become the norm. So, thinking about them not showing a whole lot, it didn't even register in my brain.
Right. But yeah, I think, Alex, I think that's a good point. And what is kind of cool in terms of like, I don't want to transition yet to like surprises and like amazing announcements you didn't see coming or anything like that quite yet. But like we did see a couple like returning dormant franchises that were kind of rebuilt from the ground up. So yeah, I mean, like I totally agree with you that there could be more leveraging of nostalgic titles and classic characters, but we did see a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I just read today that I kind of wanted to share about Pokemon while we're just kind of moving past it is apparently Pokemon Sun and Moon will connect with Pokemon Go, the augmented reality mobile game.
What?
So I just read that earlier, and but apparently they didn't specify how, claiming they'd prefer players to focus on catching Pokemon in the real world for now.
What?
What?
Well, good thing some people have a head start.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to save that for another episode when I'm allowed to talk about it.
But,
man,
there's a teaser for you.
Yeah, that's a good one too. So Derek, what about you? Any other like big disappointments from the show?
I'm gonna kind of move quickly through it because there's so much time we could talk about this, but of course Mass Effect, that's one of the best series ever for me. I love, adore, cherish Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So I just really wanted more. I was already prepared for Nintendo not to have a whole lot of information for us, so they prepped us for it, so I wasn't too disappointed. I'd say that this year was less about disappointment and more about maybe just no shows, and which is fine. We just have to accept it, because if they're not ready, they're not ready, and it's better not to show something too early.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, things like Kingdom Hearts and Beyond Good and Evil, Crackdown. I know a lot of people thought The Last of Us 2 was going to be there. So yeah, I think it was less a disappointing E3 and more just like, oh, there were a whole bunch of things that I wish had been there, but they weren't. So whatever, they will announce when they're ready, or they'll show more when they're ready.
Yeah, I think they will. Crackdown, man, I forgot that wasn't.
Yeah, that was actually really surprising. And I'm not a personal Crackdown fan, because again, I'm not a big Xbox guy. Sony pony here. But yeah, I was surprised. That was kind of shocking, because I thought they were much farther in, so I figured they would have had a little more to show. So
and they've shown that off in the past.
Yeah,
but yeah, for whatever reason, E3 was not the time to show it again. Probably Gamescom, but we'll see. For me, I had two little qualms I have just little irritations with these companies sometimes. And this is just minor announcements. This isn't anything bad. This just comes from my personal wish list of things. One is original Xbox backwards compatibility. For all the talk about like the future of the Xbox platform and the unification of the platform and the fact that Microsoft has been killing it over the last year, bringing Xbox 360 titles to Xbox One. If you already own the game, on disc or you bought it digitally on 360, it automatically works on Xbox One. And they are over 200 titles now, I think, supported. And Phil Spencer gets asked a lot about, well, what about the original Xbox? There are a lot of great games we'd love to play again. And he even kind of gave a half answer to that a couple days ago and just said, yeah, we're not focused on that right now. So yeah, dagger to the heart. But, that is a little disappointing. And then the other one is Sony. Why you got to do this to me, man? I just want to change my PSN username.
Oh man.
I can create a new me on Wii U right now and get a new username. I can get a free upgrade or a free name change on Xbox Live right now. I've been able to change my name on Xbox for a decade. Please just let me change the name I thought was kind of cool 10 years ago. There are too many X's in it, and we need to move on. We've all grown up. So please, just at some point, let me change the name.
Yeah, Jason doesn't want to be Big Booty Pimpin' XOXO anymore.
But you can follow me on Twitter with that name.
I'm sure there's someone on Twitter you can follow with that name.
But so despite the things that weren't announced or the no-shows, there were some really cool surprises and announcements we did hear about.
Well, those are two different categories now. Which one are we going into?
Well, an announcement can be a surprise.
No, I have an announcement category and I have a surprise category. So you got to pick one.
Let's go so on announcements. That's the better segue.
Yeah, sure.
So Derek, let's go with you.
Oh my Lord. That Resident Evil 7 announcement. Holy baloney, Batman.
Superb.
Oh, when they started showing it off and everyone's like, oh my God, what is this? This is incredible. Just that moment at the end. What they created, like in particular for the Resident Evil demo, I forgot the title of the demo.
Beginning hour.
Beginning hour, yes, yeah. For the beginning hour demo, it is very unique in many aspects once you get into it from PT. But that kind of PT approach where they show this really, twisted trailer. Nobody has any idea what it is, and it looks amazing. But then, like with what PT did, where you find out it's Silent Hills. God rest in peace, Silent Hills. When you find out it was Silent Hills, in the end when you beat it and that appears with Norman Reedus and all that, that was amazing. And they kind of did the same thing where they take you through that whole trailer. I guess all trailers do that actually. They show the title at the end. Anyway, still, whatever.
Yeah, but not every trailer is a big surprise.
Yeah, that moment at the end when Resident Evil 7 appears, I lost my shit.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. Because, they'd been talking about going back to its roots for so long. And this looks like they went beyond its roots.
Right.
And it should also be said that this particular demo, what they showed off, will not be in the final game. It's going to be different similarly to PT. Like they said the same thing, like this is not going to be part of the game. It's its own little experience.
Okay.
But yeah, man, that announcement was just incredible. And everybody was hoping for Resident Evil 7. I did expect it, but I did not expect that. That was just superb.
What's funny about that is that, Derek, you and I were talking maybe a week before, maybe not even a week before the Sony conference about whether or not we were going to see Resident Evil show up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because when the trailer started, like, I wasn't even thinking Resident Evil.
Yeah, no, not even.
And so, like, not only was the trailer crazy and just great and very effective, but then, you know, you have the title reveal, the crowd goes wild, you know, and then they say, and the demo's out right now.
Oh, yes. Of course, right now means us waiting several hours. Is it out yet?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
out yet? Do you see it on PSN?
Hours,
Do you see it on PSN? I think I got to it, about midnight that
about
night?
midnight. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, that's probably, in terms of announcements, and really even surprises, that Resident Evil 7 was maybe the big one. I think the showstopper.
Yep.
Maybe the only one. And not saying, you know, there weren't great titles, like God of War, that opening was phenomenal. But I don't think it had the impact of, what? This is Resident Evil? How?
Yeah. And I'll just throw this in there because I did best and worst for all these categories, but I'll just throw this quick in there because Alex already talked about it. My worst announcement was Crash. Crash is back. It's like, oh guys, come on, this is that is a terrible announcement.
Yep.
HD for Crash 1 and 2, and I forgot the other one that they have coming to HD.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing.
And then Skylanders. I was like, oh, this is. I mean, personally, I would not have probably would not have bought a new Crash game, but still, like it was kind of weird. So yeah, Alex, Jason.
Yeah, for me, I had a combined category for surprises and announcements.
Yep.
RE7 was definitely up top. It was not my number one though. I'll get to that in a second. Just like God of War, I think that reveal, and even though it didn't have the impact of seeing the title of Resident Evil 7, after a trailer that looked nothing like Resident Evil 6.
I don't know. They had some similarities. Yeah, didn't they? Didn't they? No? Okay. Maybe not.
You know, God of War, you know, thinking of these older franchises that have decided, you know, instead of like a hard reboot or doing a needless sequel, to really kind of take a step back and rewrite the foundations and the fundamentals of a series like that, I think is really impressive. And like Resident Evil, I think would fall in that category, and we'll get to it later, but The Legend of Zelda does as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it did, of course, you know, like the God of War trailer did have its like chill moments where like the first reveal of Kratos, and it was like, oh man, it really is God of War. And then of course it looks gorgeous. And then you realize that the camera's like strapped behind his shoulder and it looks like The Last of Us. And then you realize how different it is. And this is a game that will be heavily RPG in many ways, from what I understand, or RPG influenced. But it will retain those huge, epic boss fights, those big moments. It will be undoubtedly God of War when it's done. But you know, that was a big surprise to like finally see God of War again, and then see how different it was.
Wait. So I think I missed the transition. So was God of War your pick for surprise?
No, it was not.
Okay. You were just.
Yeah.
Side note.
I'm just gushing about God of War.
We're going to have a lot of side notes.
It's not even on my list. No, and then you know, Sony had another big title that I thought was. It was a surprise to me, even though I know the internet's been talking about it for about a month, but I actually just didn't think it existed. And that was Spider-Man by Insomniac.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that looks phenomenal. It looks so fun, so great. Like, the original rumor was that Sucker Punch, who makes Infamous, that they were going to be doing Spider-Man. And so when that rumor came up again, but this time it was tied to Insomniac, I was just like, whatever, I'm not falling for this one. I'm so happy to be wrong because it looks amazing. And according to Marvel and their new head of Marvel Games, like this is the first of many titles that are going to get this type of treatment from them. So I am very excited to see the future Marvel on consoles, because it feels like, aside from some games like Marvel vs. Capcom, which is a great series, don't get me wrong, and I guess Disney Infinity, it feels very vacant. It feels like we haven't seen Marvel characters in a long time.
Outside of Lego form.
Oh, yeah.
Just wait till they announce the next Deadpool game.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
I would love to see a return of X-Men Legends.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. That was a lot of fun.
And what's interesting is that I think it was yesterday. I think it was officially announced that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 will be coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So they're doing some kind of remake or remaster, whatever it is, of those.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that could be kind of fun. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I probably won't buy them, but that's great. I'd just much prefer a new one.
Right. No, I agree, but maybe depending on the sales of these, maybe they're you never know. Yeah. The last game announcement on my list here, for like surprises, is Prey. From
that looked good.
And Arcane Studios. I played the original Prey. I actually really, really liked it. Really enjoyed it. Very, very quick first-person shooter. But it was great because like the main character, he's Native American, so it has a lot to do with like Native American tradition. Even though it's set in this sci-fi background and on an alien ship, there are like spirit walks. It's really, really cool. It's really unique. The new Prey doesn't look anything like that, which is okay. It looks more like Half-Life. I think I mentioned in episode 3 before that, for like a split second, my heart skipped a beat and I thought it was Half-Life.
Poor soul.
But I'm excited for that. But so those are like my 4 game announcements I thought were, I was pleasantly surprised or whatever. But my number one surprise announcement was Project Scorpio, actually. Okay. And the entire vision of Xbox. And I think it's an important announcement because it really shows all this talk the last couple of years of how consoles could change and the future of gaming like that, where you buy one box and sometime between the next 5 and 10 years you'll have to upgrade, but everyone's on an even playing field and with the same specs and same features. Like we got confirmation on Monday that is changing, probably forever. And so I think, good, bad, or indifferent, however you feel about Scorpio being announced, 2.5 years after the Xbox One launched? Hasn't even been 3 years. And they can say, this is not a new generation. And they're right. Generations are dead, at least from Microsoft's standpoint. The generation is gone. But this is still a box that's 4 to 5 times, 4.5 specifically, 4.5 times more powerful than the current Xbox One. Like, that is basically a next-gen leap. When you release a 6 teraflop piece of kit like that, we're in some next-level territory.
Yep.
So I think the announcement, good, bad, or indifferent, is probably the most important one that we saw.
Just to throw this in there about that, the announcement didn't get me quite as excited as the interview that we talked about earlier. So yeah, seriously, if you want to hear a really good explanation, check out the interview with Phil Spencer on Giant. It was on the Giant Bombcast. Yep. You'll have to Google it and figure out which episode it was. But yeah, I thought that was a really great part. And you're right, they probably should have had that as part of the presentation. Just have that little sit down about it. That was really, really good. So.
So, Alex, have you talked about your awesome surprises, announcements?
No, not yet. I mean, we've covered. So I guess my top 2 were Spider-Man and Resident Evil. Those are the ones that really caught my attention, and then I guess the third one for me was Civ 6.
Very
so
nice.
I've only just recently been getting into Civ 5, and Jason, you just told me that it's still, I guess, 3 years after the last expansion came out. It's in the top 5 games on Steam.
I believe that's what it is. Yeah, it's always charting.
So that's pretty wild, and so I hadn't really been following the Civ 6 production at all, and so to kind of have started playing like within a few weeks, and then to jump into E3 and get the brand new game and all the information about it, and to see a lot of the improvements they've put into it, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to that one.
I did not know you were a Civ 6 fan or a Civilization fan. Now you've just gotten some culture points for me.
I was really into Civ 4 for like a year. And man, they're so good. I haven't touched 5. 6 look great though.
Yeah, the such attention to detail. I mean, I guess the focus is on the unstacking of the city and moving things out where all of the buildings that you build actually take up real space on the map and the complications that result from that. But it's the attention to detail and like with just the fog of war in the map. Like when you start playing, it's just like a blank piece of parchment with like sea monsters and dragons and stuff on it. And as you like slowly peel it back, It kind of like reveals the parts of it that you know. And it's
very cool.
That's really cool.
So yeah, those are my top 3 surprises. But I totally agree with you. The importance of that Xbox announcement. We'll be feeling the effects of that for a long time to come.
Yeah, it should be very, very interesting. I am very intrigued by the future of console gaming because it is rapidly changing. And yeah, we'll see. And in a future episode, we'll be able to, I think, go more in depth about, specs and the vision for these platforms and how things can change and, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that.
I was going to throw something in really quick. Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
Were you continuing your point?
Go for it.
Well, it's just y'all had one category. I had 2, so I feel like I'm obligated to share my other category.
Oh, do it. Yeah.
So I had my announcement and surprise, but we've covered a lot of it already, so I'm just going to make it really quick. The Insomniac Spider-Man, so exciting because it's Insomniac, man. Like that pedigree, all the games they've done. Yeah. That's really, really exciting. But the 2 things that were kind of shocking for me were, one, the God of War. And again, we talked about this a little bit on one of the past episodes. But yeah, I was really surprised that I actually cared about the God of War announcement because I feel like Kratos is an actual person now rather than some just angry dude who likes to just maul stuff.
You are not the only one to say that.
And that was a pleasant surprise that I now actually care about Kratos as a character. So that was a big surprise for me because I didn't think I'd really care that much when the announcement. And the other announcement that, again, we talked about it in one of the past shows, but the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, because they went through that demo and they were saying, yeah, this is going to be in VR and stuff. And it just looked spectacular. And I have been so done with Call of Duty for a while. But man, when they showed that trailer and then it ended with Call of Duty, it was almost a similar feeling to the Resident Evil thing. Where it's like, what is this game? This looks amazing. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And I immediately just wanted to stab myself. Like, how dare you like this trailer? How dare you? It was absolutely fantastic.
I agree. And like one of our other categories for awards is best trailers. And I think, those do tend to follow big announcements. Right. But sometimes, the trailers are so crazy that even if you never saw gameplay, even if maybe you never saw an image, it was just so intriguing, the presentation of the trailer, that it's kind of hard to ignore. Like that's half of E3.
Mm.
Yep.
So I have on my list, I have 3 that I think were the best. And then I have a couple runners up. So my number 1 best trailer we've already talked about, and that's Resident Evil 7. So I'm not going to go into that. What I will talk about is Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't even know if that's a real game. I don't know what's real anymore when it comes to Kojima. But I will say that trailer is so beautiful and bizarre.
Yeah.
That I would not have felt good about making any kind of list without at least mentioning that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was my best trailer as well. But I thought what's even more interesting is, first of all, I love everything Kojima does, and I love how he announces games because he knows how to build hype for stuff, and he knows how to build interest.
Yeah.
I thought the things that he said after in some of the interviews were really interesting about the game. So you're right. The trailer, first of all, is so enigmatic that I just love it because you're trying to catch these little glimpses of these little hints of things, and you have no idea what's going on, but you're trying to piece things together. Like his stomach is cut open, like he had some kind of bizarre C-section, and he was hooked in the umbilical cord, to this baby, and then there were the five. I think it was five figures. The five figures, like
Yep.
on the horizon, and just all this stuff is just so strange. But I'm going to read this real quick. And so Kojima got some influence from a book that he read back in high school, and in the book, the writer talked about, I guess, the first tools that mankind created. One was the stick. So I'll just read this real quick. The stick is the first tool that mankind created to put distance between himself and bad things, to protect himself. The second tool mankind created is a rope. A rope is a tool used to secure things that are important to you. Most of your tools in action games are sticks. You punch or you shoot or you kick. The communication is always through these sticks. I want people to become connected not through sticks, but through what would be the equivalent of ropes. So he's making an action game, but he also said that it's really difficult to classify it as an action game because and a lot of people say this, but he said it's going to be kind of a new genre the way he's doing it. So just everything this guy does, I'm the biggest Kojima fan. So literally, he could have just put a title up there, and I probably would have freaked out about it. But yeah, it was so curious and so interesting, and we have no idea what the heck is going on. But I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great.
So, speaking of the Death Stranding, Alex, didn't you have a question that you wanted to ask Derek about this?
Oh, is this where I get attacked? Is that was the note at the beginning of the show?
This depends on your response.
Oh, yeah. So I guess we've got another upcoming category, and it's the best indie game. And so a couple places I was looking online had been including Death Stranding in their best indie game category.
It's indie games are like video game genres nowadays. It's really hard to distinguish one category from the other at times. A lot. It's when you look at genres, a lot of people put out a game and they'll say, "Oh, it's a roguelike RPG action adventure point and click." It's like, what are you talking about? It's the same thing with indies. Like, at what point does an indie become a AAA developer? Like, where is there a line? If there is, then where exactly is that line? So I mean, technically, he is an indie group. I think, he's got a very small team working with him. He's not working directly for PlayStation, but he's doing a project exclusively for them. So it'll be a third-party exclusive for PlayStation, but it is a small team. And yeah, I mean, Kojima Productions is technically an indie developer.
Okay.
If you have some disagreement, feel free to attack.
No, technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Well, see, I don't know. I think when it comes to whether or not you can label yourself as independent depends on where the money comes from. So, and I don't know where the money is coming from for Death Stranding. If it's coming from Sony, if Sony is financing that game, like, I would absolutely not call it an independent title. But if it's not, and it's just a publishing deal, which is, quite different, then yeah, sure. Then I think you could make the argument. But I mean,
Microsoft did that with a lot of games where they put a lot of money, towards these independent exclusives they were getting for the Xbox One. So,
but would you call? I mean, like what specifically is Scalebound an indie title because it's platinum and not Microsoft? Or I guess MGS is technically publishing Scalebound, but like is Cuphead's independent?
Cuphead is indie, yeah.
Right.
And then you've also got these other indie groups that are being supported and financed through AAA developers, like Square Enix has, their whole indie side that they're doing now. I forgot what the initiative is called, but Indie Initiative or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just look at it like movies. Once a studio like 20th Century Fox gives you money, I think you cease to be independent. Because there are independent artists who kill themselves trying to raise any kind of money.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference between borrowing money from family and friends or going to someone who can maybe, kick you 10 grand for a short film and, getting a check for millions of dollars from Universal Studios. So like, that's just how I look at it. I think it just depends. Sometimes you have these great studios or great developers rather in games who, they finance stuff independently or they raise money on their own and, they have autonomy over the project and creative control and all that. And, I think that would classify as being independent. So Kojima is kind of on the cusp of that. But I think if they're paying the bills, I mean, I don't know.
If this says anything, if this makes you feel better, Alex, when I was going through these categories, though Death Stranding is now one of my most anticipated titles, I did not include it in my indie list.
Okay, well, yeah, that was the question. I was,
neither did I include it in the game list, in my overall list, and that's. Well, first of all, it's just because we just don't know enough about it. But yeah, right. Jason's right. It's kind of like right on the cusp. It's like a AA or I don't know.
But I thought it was
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting question because Alex brought that up earlier, that observation that he saw from some other outlets. And I don't know. I don't know how to take that.
Well, it's understandable. And I think the other thing is a lot of people classify these games as AAA or indie, depending on the visuals as well. Mm-hmm. They'll say, "Oh, well, that looks like a AAA title," or right. this one's a 16-bit game, so it must be indie.
Yeah.
And Death Stranding looks fantastic, like it's visually stunning.
Yeah, they've got AAA money.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's too difficult to classify these things. It's kind of like, again, it's like genres for me. I can't really classify these games or most games in any one particular genre because they kind of bleed over into all the other genres. So,
yep, absolutely right.
I think we can have that discussion without, classifying Kojima as anything but like an auteur director for games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think he is. Like, regardless of who's paying for what, a guy like him, and there are, many people like that in the games industry. I think that's a different beast. So I'm not trying to say he's not an independent artist or anything. I just thought that Death Stranding through a deal with Sony, that, I don't know.
So
Alex, what was yours?
A top trailer?
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess jumping back, Death Stranding and RE7 were on there. And then my number one was actually Zelda. I've gone back and watched that one more than a couple times. And even though I spent tons of time going and watching all of the gameplay footage afterwards, I think it's a really well put together trailer. And I think it sold, as much as everything else did, it sold me on the game even more.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's so hard picking one trailer. How do you just pick one trailer out of everything we saw?
You don't. That's why I have 5.
Yeah, I threw Death Stranding in there just because it was the reveal for it. Because we'd already seen a lot of Zelda stuff. Well, not a lot, but
No.
we've seen some stuff so far. So that was the reason I put Death Stranding in. But yeah, man, that Zelda trailer. Oh,
I actually
gameplay, it was just.
I took Zelda. I removed Zelda from my list. I did because my justification was when I first saw the trailer, I unfortunately was not as blown away as I wanted to be.
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
Yeah. But like all the gameplay stuff, like yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that. But for that reason, because stuff like Death Stranding, Resident Evil, I also have Detroit on my best trailer list.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like two runners up. I kind of cheated here.
You're cheating a lot here.
I'm cheating. This whole thing is a cheat.
I have 12 on my list. 11 runners up and 1 winner.
Well, okay, so like when it comes to trailers, I'm on the fence in terms of CGI trailers. Like I really enjoy watching CGI trailers. I think they can do a great job of introducing the world and the characters and setting a tone and an aesthetic and all that. But it's not gameplay. You know, I prefer gameplay trailers where we can really see what it would be like to play the game. But I do have like kind of like a subcategory is like best CGI trailer in my opinion, and I almost put it as maybe 1 or 2 on the best trailer list overall. Is actually the Halo Wars 2 trailer, which I thought was just the complete opposite of how I thought they would introduce this game or reintroduce this game to the masses. It's kind of very like introspective trailer, and it has like a general, I don't know who it was, a general on one side, human, and then like a brute captain or whoever on the other side of this battlefield, and they're like slowly marching toward each other, and the rest of the war has like slowed down, and it shows you like the different units and not characters but like vehicles that you can play as and use in the game, but it's not representative of the game at all aside from like character and tone and all that, and I was really impressed with that. So yeah, for me, like that's kind of a subcategory. Resident Evil's my number 1, then Death Stranding, Detroit, and then for a runner-up, because I can't get it out of my head, and it's the Forza Horizon 3 trailer. I think it's
okay.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really
very
is.
well put together.
Agreed.
I'm so impressed with the stuff I've seen from this game. This is the first Forza ever I'm actually maybe buying.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, so I like it. It had to be on the list. So that's what I got there. Any other trailers that you guys want to talk about, or any other list?
Yeah, and one of these is going to hurt you, Jason. But I do have my 2 worst trailers, and one of them I'm pretty sure y'all haven't seen.
Okay.
So one of them, the first one I'll say is Farpoint, the VR. And I know you thought that was really cool when they showed it, but what I saw and then the gameplay on the show floor, Farpoint, if anyone hadn't seen it, it's the one that it's basically set on Mars. You're in this like desolate, barren desert, kind of like action survival thing. It just felt so bland and so generic.
Okay.
And
that's disappointing.
Nothing really stuck out to me. Like I like the idea and the concept, but the presentation to me was just kind of blah.
Okay.
Just kind of lukewarm.
I get that, especially since I haven't seen like the game running.
Yeah,
I only saw the polished trailer.
Yeah, and it looked a little rough, especially whether you're playing it or watching it. Like it just doesn't feel good. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's a little like, and it's still in the works, but like watching the gun like bounce around, it looks like somebody's like having a seizure while they're holding the gun, and that was probably just maybe a couple people have an issue with that. It just nothing stuck out about it. There just wasn't anything special about it. So I guess that's not really worse. It was kind of yeah. But the worst, I'll say, I really love the anime Berserk. and it's one of my favorite anime. Growing up, it's kind of like medieval and really bloody and gory, and it's a really cool action one. If you haven't seen it, the trailer is really awkward. It's basically a camera panning around this voluptuous nude woman, and it doesn't quite show the nipple. It doesn't quite show any of the nether regions, but it slowly is panning around. And as it's panning around, these slimy tentacles are wrapping its way around the woman in very strange areas. And it felt like I was watching tentacle porn, which is a real thing. It was just a really weird trailer for a series that I do love. It's a really cool action anime series. But man, that trailer was just awful. I just felt awkward and gross watching it. It was really weird.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Look that up for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I'll just leave that at that. Y'all can look it up, listeners. Y'all can look it up if you want. Maybe the game will be great. Great series. I'm sure there's a lot they could do with it, but we'll see. That's from I think Koei Tecmo is putting that one out, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that a VR title? Is 4chan going to be real happy?
I have not seen any other information regarding it. I haven't looked, but I have not seen any other information about it besides that little teaser trailer they did. The tentacle porn teaser trailer. Yeah.
Well, yeah. It wouldn't be the only thing porn related at E3. Apparently, I don't know which companies, but I saw a NeoGAF that a couple porn companies had actually set up a booth.
Yeah,
to show off
there.
Porn VR.
They were quite crowded.
That's the other thing I saw. The lines were packed.
Yes, they were. Just the people's expressions as they were standing there, just waiting in line. It was just kind of funny. I didn't go over. I didn't check it out, but it was kind of funny.
A different type of gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And speaking of gameplay,
oh, look at that transition!
You like that?
That was
very smooth.
So one of the other big parts about E3 at conferences and on the show floor is obviously the gameplay demos. Sometimes it's behind closed doors. Sony in the past and probably this year, they have a theater basically set up where you can watch someone play a game, and then out on the booth proper, on the floor proper, you can play. You get hands-on with independent titles, smaller titles. And then in conferences, we get to see these fantastic demonstrations. Sometimes they're not so hot. But I think it's an important element of the show, and it's quite different than just watching a trailer. Mm-hmm. Thus the distinction here. So, Alex, you watched a lot. In terms of gameplay, what really stuck out? Either from a conference or other videos you saw?
Well, I guess I have to go back to two big ones that were on my trailer list as well. But as soon as that Resident Evil 7 announcement came out, I didn't get it that night, but the next morning I downloaded it and was jumping into it. And that exposure to that gameplay and using it just on a controller and just with the TV, it's got me so excited about it. And I'm just really eager to get the chance to try it with a VR headset.
See, I really want to know how the trailer reflects the actual game.
Right.
Similarly to PT, I didn't know if they were just going with a teaser, just for fun, or if that's the actual gameplay. Because both Silent Hills and Resident Evil have always traditionally been third person.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But Resident Evil did say that the game was playable front to back in VR. But then again, Resident Evil has toyed with having third person and first person modes in their game. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping there will be a third person and a first person option.
Oh, see, I want to say I heard that it's first person only, but now I'm not sure. But as everyone scratches off Resident Evil off their demo list.
No, like it was. We know at least that will be some of the gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do know that. It's just, will there also be third person? And then, we didn't get to see any of the combat. And they said there will be combat, like, there's the axe in the demo. Yeah. We don't really see how the axe works. So they said there will be combat. And then I did like how the demo set up the puzzle solving.
Uh-huh.
So I'm curious to see if it's going to be more linear, like everybody's going to find this, everyone's going to find the jewel to put in the statue eye and blah, blah, blah. Or if it'll be like the demo where you may not find all the clues. And depending on that will depend on what happens next.
Now it's Detroit.
So now, like, now I'm just so confused. Alex is right. Like, I loved it, but I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
For sure. But yeah, I think it was very impressive. And Alex, you mentioned that you had another one.
Yeah, and we're gonna come back to it time and time again. But the Zelda gameplay is phenomenal. And I guess before we jump into that one, I think the interesting thing with Zelda and God of War is all these big titles, these AAA titles, introducing a lot more RPG elements.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And so that kind of, I think, was a theme of gameplay in some of the great games coming out this year, is the inclusion of those aspects. And I know we're seeing just a bit in trailers and gameplay, but it doesn't feel tacked on. It doesn't feel like it's just kind of trying to fit the trend. It feels like it's a real inclusion in the design of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that Zelda wasn't at the top of my list. But we're going to get back to that. Just like God of War, we've gushed about God of War. And like clearly, like there's a reason for that. And for me, it's not just amazing gameplay from God of War and Zelda, but it's reinvention. They're not afraid to shake up something that, well, especially in terms of Zelda, like they don't like messing with that formula too much.
Yeah.
And to see them basically just rewrite it from scratch, this 30-year-old franchise this year. Like that's pretty incredible. And what they've come up with for Breath of the Wild, I think looks pretty exciting. And it gives just so much variety in what you can do, how you approach challenges and enemies and puzzles. And, if video games are about the gameplay, gameplay and story, I guess are kind of like the two pillars for gaming, then I think, this new Zelda has that the former in spades. The story we don't know yet, but aside from those two,
just a real quick caveat. It would have been very easy to put Zelda on a lot of these lists as the winner.
Yeah.
So I did not do that. So I don't. I'll get into what my favorite two gameplays were in a second, but I just to agree with Alex. It was just spectacular. And I think one of the most exciting things about Zelda is that so many games turn off a certain audience because of the gameplay. Right. Because of, I'm not good enough for shooters, or I'm not, smart enough for strategy games, or I don't have the patience for, turn-based, or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I love how... And I actually picked this up from watching the Treehouse Live, for the whole day. But there's so many different ways to play Zelda. You can, go in with your sword swinging, or I forgot the Japanese lady that was there playing and talking about it. I forgot her name, but she was saying, I'm not really good at action games, but I can.
Chico, was that who that was?
I believe so. That sounds right.
Okay.
But she was like, you can, if you're not good at action games and you're not good in those situations, you can just be smart about it. Like, I'm going to pick up this object and use this object to like block the enemy from me, or I can stand far away and attack them, or wait till night when they're asleep.
Yeah.
Or like the big skull kind of the hideout where the enemies, like they had the little candle hanging up, and you can shoot that and it'll explode and take them all out before you even get up there. So there's so many different ways to play, and I just found that absolutely fascinating. I love it.
No, I absolutely agree. It's not really random. It's just I guess it's smart design, where every encounter can be different, and how, like I was saying earlier, how you approach everything can be different, and every player is going to play the whole game differently. You can, I think it was Anuma who was saying that you could run out of that temple or wherever Link wakes up from in the very, very beginning of the game. You can run out of there, bypass everything, and book it straight to the final boss. But to do that, it requires like a tremendous amount of like gaming skill. But it's there. There's no order. There are no requirements. You can play it however you want. And the fact that they had hundreds of journalists and convention goers, thousands, play that game, all play it differently. They can stream the game for 5 hours on one day and then a handful of showings throughout the next day, and still say, yeah, everything you saw is 1% of the game. It's like, that's unbelievable. Yeah, it's very impressive, and I'm kind of in awe of the changes made. They listen to the criticisms that fans, that not just journalists, but fans, actual players, had of Skyward Sword, and they took it to heart. And they created something that honestly looks like it could be special. Like, we don't throw around the word special when it comes to games too often, because in many ways it's kind of like movies or TV shows, where only once in a while do you get something that isn't, more or less derivative. I mean, not to totally slam 99% of games out there, but I don't know, and maybe it's just my Zelda bias.
And Jason.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yes.
That's just the Wii U footage.
Whoa, man.
Just wait till we see it on NX.
And they have said that on NX the game is exactly the same. However, it does look different.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see. It's very exciting,
especially for that art style, because I love the art style. But yeah, just thinking about it being crisper and clearer and higher frame rate and just everything.
So excited.
Sorry, a little spaz there, but man,
aside from that, because like you said, we could just talk on and on and on about Zelda. Yeah. And maybe we will, but not maybe not for this show. But I do want to call out, in terms of like presentations or like demonstrations, for gameplay. I also want to give shout outs to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It really impressed me. The ship assault demo at Sony's conference. I thought I was done with Call of Duty. I'm not so sure about that. Very impressive from a series, I've played a dozen games of. Mm-hmm. And then I also want to give a shout out to We Happy Few.
Oh yeah, okay, very nice.
And I will talk about this game a little later, a little more extensively. But I just want to say that this is an indie title, a Kickstarter back title that it's reminiscent of THX 1138 and BioShock, and with its art style and how it approaches story. Microsoft had a great gameplay demonstration of We Happy Few. If you haven't seen it, check it out. This game is nuts.
Yeah, there's so much about that excites me, but I like many other things, I still have so many questions. The gameplay, and I can't even remember how much they showed just via via online. I guess it's probably all out there now, but I know at E3 they were showing off the. I guess it's just it is online now. It is online. That first little bit where you stop taking your pill, and the cops come after you. That's basically the demo that they have at E3.
Yeah, that was the conference demo.
Okay, so yeah, there's just not much beyond that, and I know they said if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but that it is procedural.
Oh, I don't know. That's interesting.
So there's like multiple situations you can find yourself in, and then you just have to survive. So I don't know if it's going to be. I need clarification on this because I feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing, but I guess it's not like quite as narrative and story based like BioShock was, like the last BioShock was, and maybe it's more procedural stories where you just kind of get thrown into it and then you go from there.
Well, I honestly don't know. It does arrive on Steam Early Access and then the Xbox Game Preview Program late July. So we're all going to know soon how this game has turned out.
I hope it does well because it looks really cool. I love that
in
art
terms
style.
of an impressive game demonstration, and then there are some trailers that came out and whatnot. Like that really, really impressed me.
Yeah.
And that type of story, that is up my alley. I don't know, who knows about the state of all these games that we talk about. We're not going to know for a while. But in terms of, something to come on my radar, I don't know. It's one of the few I keep coming back to because it impressed me so much in its approach to storytelling, in its art style, in the type of story and the themes it wants to tackle. Now, if it turns out that was the only story in the game, well, yeah, then I'll come back and I'll retract this. But until then, for me personally, I thought it was a fantastic tease for a game that could be quite interesting.
Yeah, I really hope there's a good, strong narrative in that because I love the idea. Yeah. There seems like so much they could do with it. So yeah, you're right. We'll see. But I am hopeful. I do hope there's a lot more to the story. Do you mind if I jump into my gameplay?
Yeah, go for it. I was just going to ask.
Well, I have 2 on my list.
Ooh.
And they actually both surprised me. Like of all the things, like there were a lot of games that I just adored. But for gameplay specifically, 2 games kind of stood out to me the most. One of them that you've already mentioned was Detroit Becoming Human.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Heavy Rain. I thought it was fantastic. But as much as choice had a part in the game and, decision making and all that, there was a lot that there were some things that didn't matter as much as I wanted them to.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit just seems like the total realization of that concept. Just what they showed and what they talked about, like the enormous amount or the sheer number of possibilities in these situations, depending on who you talk to, what you find, all that kind of stuff. Like you were saying, you said you were getting anxious just thinking about finding all the clues, and the game's, over a year out. So that seems really exciting to me because I love games that do have choice in there. And thinking about a fully realized game from David Cage, it looks fantastic. It looks just incredible.
Yeah, it feels like the game that David Cage always wanted to make in a lot of ways.
Right. And they, Beyond Two Souls was not it.
But yeah, I'm very impressed with Detroit. Loved the trailer. In theory, I really like the idea of choices as kind of a game mechanic and a storytelling device. Usually in games, it tends to be, kind of pointless, a little contrived. It's just almost like, some developers like checking the box, like, oh yeah, give them options, but it's not really. I mean, like we can just look at Mass Effect, right?
That's
So I don't wanna-
that's still a sore subject.
But yeah, I hope it's great. You said you had another game on your list.
Yeah, and again, I'm kind of surprised to have both of these on there with everything they showed, but I was really impressed with the improvements for South Park: Fractured But Whole.
Oh yeah.
They had a lot of changes to the gameplay and how it works, movement, how you can hide and get more strategic positions, how your flatulence now affects time and space.
Oh yeah.
So the improvements and everything they had for that just looked really, really, really good. And the game, sounds weird saying as a whole. I want to avoid saying whole when talking about this game, but overall, yeah, it really, really looks good. I mean, they killed it with the last one, and this just looks even better. I love the little segments of the game they showed off. Even you walking around Cartman's basement.
Yeah.
And the dialogue and the gameplay they showed, it just looks incredible. So I'm very, very excited for that.
I am too. I mean, I loved the Stick of Truth. It's one of those games, combat wise, it takes all of these like real interesting RPG mechanics that you see in a lot of games, combines it with kind of a Paper Mario-esque combat style. Mm-hmm. But what it does is that it's not this 100-hour investment. It's a 12-hour game or an 8-hour game. So you get all of those elements that you like, but you get them in a smaller package, on top of, basically what amounts to like a full season of South Park.
And Stick of Truth will be included when you pick up the new one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pre-order it, you get Stick of Truth immediately if you get it digitally.
Wait, is it going to come with the physical copy as well, or maybe they'll have a digital code for?
Actually, I'm not sure. But I do know about digital, so it could be in the box. I just don't know.
Because I do prefer my physical copies. So.
Because they said if you order a physical copy, you can't play the game until the physical copy ships. So, but still, that doesn't answer whether or not that's a code or.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
But either way, yeah, the new game looks fantastic. They get this, they had to change engines. I don't know what they used over at Obsidian when they made the Stick of Truth, but for the Fractured But Whole, they used the Snowdrop engine, which is the same graphics engine as The Division. No, anyway, I saw that this morning on IGN. I thought it was really interesting because Snowdrop was designed to have this, really strong emphasis on like realistic graphics. And what they did is that but this is actually pretty impressive, at least to me. Because they're using Snowdrop, they can access the raw Maya files from South Park Studios, grab those files, basically uncompressed, and then it goes through Snowdrop, and then they build their game. So they're literally using the show to make the game.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, and the guy on IGN's thing was like, yeah, you look around The Division, it just looks like photoreal Manhattan, and then you flip the South Park switch, and it just looks like crap. But yeah, real excited for that. Any other game demos that impressed you guys?
There was a lot, but those two really stuck out to me the most. So,
the last one I just thought of was Nier Automata.
Oh yeah, Nier Automata.
Automata, thank you. The boss fight footage that they put out, incredible. It looks so fun. It looks just crazy, and it looks great. That's probably my last contribution. There are a lot of great games. Like just thinking about like Ubisoft, like Watch Dogs, for instance. Watch Dogs 2. That also impressed me a lot. It was not on my list, but with Assassin's Creed absent from this fall, Watch Dogs, if you're kind of hankering for that type of game, Watch Dogs could be it. It looks like a significant improvement over the first one.
Significant improvement indeed.
Yeah, it looks like a blast.
I was actually excited about it.
Oh yeah, I love the trailers. I thought the gameplay looked great. Okay, well, you know what? I think without further ado.
Wait. Did y'all make indie lists?
Oh, I did not make an indie list. However, I mentioned one of the two that would have been on my list. We Happy Few. And Inside.
Okay.
If this was last year, I would have put Cuphead on my list.
So I've got Cuphead at the top of my list because this is my first time really learning about it. And then my number 2 was We Happy Few. And then bringing up the third was Vampire or Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did actually. I wanted to see Vampire. I think they're actually saying Vampire.
Okay.
I always said Vampire because I don't know, it sounds cooler to me. That's kind of since they spelled it weird at the end. I like Vampire, so I guess maybe we'll stick with that. So yeah, I did want to check out Vampire, but I didn't get to. What I've seen, and then just the visuals, the gameplay a little bit looks interesting. Definitely want to find out more about that one. For mine, I know we don't want to just have like a 4-hour marathon, so I'll try to move quickly through these.
That's fine.
My bronze. Do you start with the runner-up?
Oh wait. Before.
Oh.
Well, are you doing this for indie game?
Yeah, indie games.
Oh, you did indie games with this as well. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Indies are near and dear to me. I know you little AAA. Well, I was gonna drop some words, but for you little stuck-up guys who just like your AAA games, I know it wasn't as interesting for you, but
okay, yeah, all right. So we did this wrong. I would say that my bronze is Cuphead.
Okay. I know you've been looking forward to that one for a while.
Oh, it's so good. It really is. And the only reason why it didn't place higher this year, because the devs have added like platforming and more like traditional campaign stuff.
Yeah.
So like last year, it seemed like it was a boss rush
Right.
type experience, and that's not exactly what it is. But all of it together is just this fantastic package. So that would be my bronze. My silver would be Inside from the Limbo devs.
Yeah.
Oh, mama.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say anything about it. Find gameplay videos online. Check out the trailers. But I have a feeling that it's going to be better the less you know about it. And then my gold would be We Happy Few. Like I said before, I was just very, very impressed by the Microsoft demonstration of that, and yeah, I'm really excited. I hope it's good. But that's what I got.
That is a solid list, sir.
Thank you.
Mine is actually a little bit different. Only one of your games was on my list, and again, it's so hard to make these lists. I just want to keep repeating that because there are too many games that would be our number one games, and it's too easy to just say, well, I have a 20-way tie between all of the games.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so much more than what we're saying. But that said, my runner-up was a game called Loot Rascals. Loot Rascals is this bizarre roguelike game. God, it's really, really hard to explain. It just the animation is bizarre. The story is weird. The characters are just really weird. But what they showed off of it, for how you see if I can figure out how to explain this. Actually, you know what? Here, let me read this real quick because I don't know if y'all have seen this one. It's too hard for me to explain.
Okay.
So the game has two main components. First, you're exploring the planet, revealing its hexagonal surface. So like it's in little pieces of hexagon, and as you move, more of the world is revealed. if that makes sense. And you're fighting off strange aliens, monsters, and robots. Defeating them will win you loot chips. And these loot chips are basically schematics for your character. So like you beat an enemy, you get a little chip, and then you can go into your menu and use these chips to set up your character how you want. And depending on how you set it up depends on your abilities and powers and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And then when you die, the monsters raid your loot and send it up into the server, and then your loot goes into other people's games where they can win it. So like when you defeat like a powerful monster, you're actually I could be getting the loot that you lost
Right.
in your game. But yeah, just you'll have to check it out. So Loot Rascals, the art style is what got me first of all. Well, technically Shuhei Yoshida tweeted out about it. It's like, all right, what's that? I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the art style is so funny. There's a lot of great humor in it, and it's very unique. And so that was my runner-up. My bronze is the one that you had for your silver is Inside. It just is a gorgeous game, and that's from Playdead, if I'm not mistaken. So Playdead is the one who did Limbo.
To interject real quick.
Yeah.
This week on Xbox Live, if you're a gold member, you can get Limbo for free. So I've actually been playing it off and on the last couple of days. It's really short, it's like 2 or 3 hours, but it's really cool. If you like platformers and like puzzle platformers, it's really cool. Very subtle, awesome aesthetic. So because of that, that's why Inside probably maybe jumped up a spot or two on my list. But yeah, go on.
And yeah, Limbo was a good game, and I didn't finish beating it, but I did play it for a while, and I did like it. But character and narrative have always been very important to me.
Right.
That's why Inside kind of seems like the game that I've wanted Playdead to make, because it's not like there's not like a lot of dialogue or anything like that, but it's visually how it tells the story. There's a lot of nonverbal narrative, and I love the concept. Again, you go read up on it if you're not familiar with Inside. Very cool concept, very beautiful art, very very dark story. So yeah, that one definitely high on my radar. My silver went to Night in the Woods. Have y'all seen this one at all?
No.
It's this similar to Loot Rascals. It's this really goofy art style. You're a cat, and you live in this like animal world. So you in the demo you go out and talk to your mom. You go outside. There's like a goat sweeping, and strangely enough, squirrels are still squirrels. There's like an actual little squirrel running around. It wasn't like an actual person. You watch the trailer, you'll see. But anyway, really cute art style, and it reminded me of Oxenfree.
Oh yeah.
So it's not if you want like action and all that kind of stuff, this is not really a game. This is all about characters and story and narrative and choices. So very similar to Oxenfree, like you're always just deciding how you respond to characters and which characters you talk to. And I loved Oxenfree, which is available right now if you haven't played it. It's a really cool, dark, kind of horror adventure game. But yeah, it really struck a chord with me that, I love creative art styles, first of all, because, too many games look similar. So when something really stands out like Loot Rascals and like this one, I really love that. But I think more and more as I get older, I'm more driven by games that have strong narrative and character development. And this game it looks really, really fascinating to me. But my gold was a new game that I had not heard of called Here They Lie. Have y'all seen a trailer or anything for it?
I
No.
have.
So it's a VR experience. Well, I think you can. I believe it's VR or PS4. I think you can do it either way.
Mhm.
So I don't think you have to do VR. But let's see if I can try and figure out a good way to explain it. An even more twisted and dark, horrific Alice in Wonderland. So you're following. I think they call her the Lady in Yellow. You're following this woman into this weird, dark, terrifying world, and you just run into these horrible creatures. And the color palette is very similar to what you would see for Inside. A lot of blacks and grays and stuff and like that, except for the woman in yellow. But just these terrifying monsters. And the dev. I forgot the lead guy's name, but it's by the Tangentlemen, is the name of the developers. But they want to make you uncomfortable, and it's going to be less jump scare and more just like psychologically unnerving you through the entire experience as it drags you deeper into this dark, twisted world.
See, and that's the best kind.
Yeah, they just want you to be just horribly uncomfortable. And be nervous about everything that's around you and just, about turning the next corner. So that game just looked really, really, really cool to me. Who knows how any of these games will turn out in the end.
Of course.
But man, it really, really looked great.
No, that's a great pick. And honestly, I completely forgot about it. So I'm really pleased you did not.
Yeah, when you get a chance, just check out the trailer. I think maybe they have an interview with the lead dev. Definitely worth checking out. I don't even know which site it's on now, but yeah, just look it up. You'll find it. Very cool. Very excited about that one.
So I think it's time to kind of bring this back to the main event here. And the good thing about
time.
The good thing about talking about game of the show at this point is that we've talked a lot already about some of these things. We could probably guess based on the things we've all said, which games probably ended up in our top 3 for game of the show. And so this time, because we kind of botched the indie game plan, we were going to do all 3 bronze, then silver, then gold.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So let's do it for this one.
Okay.
And we don't need to. I don't think we need to take too much time going through this. Actually,
I feel like we've covered. We've probably talked about all of our gold, silver, and bronze a little bit to this point already.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with my bronze, and that was We Happy Few.
Okay.
Very
And yeah, I don't feel like I need to justify it any more than I already have.
Yep.
And it's one of those things very similar to Inside. You really just need to, check out the footage, watch this game in action. And for me, it's right up my alley. It impressed me a lot. And I can't wait to check it out. Hopefully it's great, but we'll see. So let's see. How about Alex? What's your bronze?
Great. My bronze was The Last Guardian.
Oh, I love you for having that on there. God bless you.
Good call.
And so we haven't talked about it too much, but it's one that I'm pretty excited about. I was late to the Shadow of the Colossus train, and I know we've seen a bit of footage before E3, but I'm excited for that one. I'm going to pick that one up, and it really resonated with me, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's a day one for me. As long as I've waited for that. Oh my gosh! Now, can we spend 45 minutes talking about that game? No,
Next time we will do it next time.
Again, there's too many games for these lists, but yeah, that's day one. I can't wait. It looks so beautiful. I love how they do storytelling. It's so good.
Yeah, it's funny that after all this time, like this time last year, people were just couldn't believe that it still existed. And now, I feel bad to even consider that is The Last Guardian a little old hat? I didn't even think about it because I feel like we've talked about it, and the whole community has talked about it for a long time now.
Yeah.
That it's almost unbelievable that it's actually coming out.
Yeah, I actually got a little emotional when they put that date up.
Yeah.
It's like we knew it was official. We knew it was coming. Man, like just that feeling, like after all this time, it was so good.
So, Derek, what is your bronze? What is your bronze game of the show?
My bronze game of the show, I didn't expect this to be there, but I've mentioned it already. South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
Yeah.
Man, they know how to present a game. And I think, similar to what you said earlier, it's not this huge 100-hour experience. They hit a good time with it. It's not too long. It's not too short. So, like, none of the humor, like, drags on or gets stale. But, man, everything about South Park that we love is that's what this game is.
It really is. That is a great way to put it.
And I am so ridiculously excited, especially like, oh my, I was rolling, listening to their quips about, DC and Marvel and the phases. Holy cow. I was just dying. It was so funny. And then in the demo when, the new guy is walking around and just the interactions with the environment and Cartman and the other characters and just everything. It's just too funny. So yeah, that surprised to have that on there with all the incredible games that they announced and showed off, but they just did a beautiful presentation and it's hard not to put that on the list.
Oh, I completely agree. That would be my runner-up. That would be fourth for me.
Oh, my I completely forgot runner-ups.
I did too.
What are we doing runner-up? Yeah, my runner-up was Detroit.
Oh, that's a great pick. Alex, do you have a runner-up, like a fourth place?
I don't have a fourth place.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We forgot it anyway.
The whole thing's been botched. I'm sorry. Just
silver.
Silver, absolutely.
Back to you, Jason.
Yeah, it's going to come at no surprise. We talked about this earlier. My silver game of the show is God of War.
Oh.
Okay. Right.
I think if Kratos was ever going to return, and I was one of the fans of the franchise who I didn't need Kratos to come back. I was always hoping that the God of War series would come back in a different setting. Like Norse mythology was rumored for a long time. Sony Santa Monica, they were looking at using Egypt as a backdrop for this one and then switch to Norse. That could also be interesting, and maybe that's in the future of the series as well.
I want to see Japanese.
Well, that'd be great too. And I think that's what's cool. And you never know. It could be like Assassin's Creed in that way, where you could piggyback off of like legendary gods of war of myth, and that could be really interesting. But like, I didn't need Kratos to return in order to want the series back.
Yep.
But to get him back in the way that they showed him off in this new gameplay setting and style, and I was just, very, very happy, very impressed. Cannot wait. I don't know when that game is coming out. I don't know if it's next year, hopefully. Can't wait to see it running on that PlayStation Neo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby.
But yeah, I would say, yeah, with a lot of confidence that God of War was one of the best games shown at the show. And, yep, glad to have it back.
Very quick question for you.
Yes.
Does Kratos hand off the mantle to his son as the new God of War, as some have speculated?
I'm going to say no.
You don't think so?
I'm going to say, all right.
I think it's not
nothing.
likely, but it is a direction they could go, in the future, should they decide to keep making these games.
Yeah. I say it goes the other way. I think you're supposed to expect that. I'm going to say they kill the kid in the game.
I can see that.
And
okay.
Kratos goes full rage mode. That's my guess. But we'll see. I mean, I could see him passing it off, but I don't know. Do you really need to? But anyway, so Alex, what's your silver?
It's another one that we've talked about quite a bit, but Resident Evil 7 is my silver.
There we go.
getting a roar over there. Am I stealing some thunder? But
No, that was me. I was in concurrency.
oh, okay, yeah.
In concurrency, is that correct? I was in.
Good enough in agreement. Or
Thank you. Words are difficult for me.
we know what you mean. That's all that matters.
But yeah, I mean, I've been a long time fan of the series. Kind of been a little disappointed with the departure. So I'm great to have it back, and I'm great to have like a steward of the VR experience.
Ooh, that is a great point.
And a solid steward at that.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, silver.
I'm right on the bandwagon with him. My silver goes to Resident Evil, and it was this. I'll be honest with you. It was a difficult choice for me with silver and gold, but I have my reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, also in Japanese, Biohazard Resident Evil.
It's beautiful.
Resident Evil. There are a handful of series that are my top series of all time. It's really hard to pick an order for that, but Resident Evil is definitely one of them. I have always adored the series. I have all of them, even the bad ones, even like Dead Aim. I own all the Resident Evils. In fact, I own multiple copies of some of them that are still in the shrink wrap.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been waiting for this for a long time, and to see the direction that they're going. I was even, everybody complained about 6, but like I even liked 6. It was very different. I don't mind them trying new things.
Oh, of course not.
So like a lot of people were really frustrated and disappointed in 6. I actually really liked it in particular, which I think was kind of what everybody said, but particularly Leon's scenario, which was kind of more of the horror one of it. So yeah, like seeing what they're doing, it's beautiful. I'm gonna cry when the game comes out. I'm just gonna probably hold it for a couple hours and just cuddle it before I put it in and play it. It looks great. I'm excited with the direction. There's so much they can do, and they have restored my faith. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the best way to leave it. Is they've restored my faith in the series.
I'm very interested to hear what the separation, what the difference, what the deciding factor was for you between silver and gold. Because after hearing that, I'm surprised it wasn't gold.
Well, I think we've got a unanimous gold here. It seems like, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's unanimous. Do you want to? Oh wait, hold on. No, we all did our silvers. Okay, I had to think about that for a second. So, Jason, do you want to do the honors and reveal the gold that without seeing our lists? None of us know, but we all know.
But we all know.
We all know.
I mean, we should like do some photoshopped award that we could put out on Twitter.
And the winner is
unanimous.
Persona 5. So, Persona from Atlas. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, I thought we were in agreement on this.
Maybe for the TGS show. I think just unquestionably, like game of the show is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you know what? It's like I don't even know what to say about it that hasn't already been said. It is a daring departure from a company that is slow to change. And
mm-hmm.
if this is a glimpse at the future of Nintendo, then it will be a beautiful future. There is already Miyamoto was talking about that he hopes to bring the next Mario to next year's E3. And he said it is also quite different. And, you bring in this young, fresh blood and perspective into the company and just, give them some leeway. They love this stuff too, but they approach it with a little more modern sensibility under the tremendous guidance of some of the best game developers ever.
Yep.
And I really hope after this E3, especially after, the frustrations last year, I hope Iwata-san is looking down and smiling and seeing how happy we all are.
Yep.
Thinking about you, Iwata. how incredible that Nintendo can come in to E3. I mean, they had a few sprinkled in as well, but basically coming into E3 with one game.
Yep.
Everybody laughed. Nintendo, one game, really? This is ridiculous. And then they showed it, and everybody STFU.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yeah, without a doubt, and almost immediately. Nintendo knew what they had. They know what they have in this title, and they're honestly, I think they are banking the future on this game. Certainly the future over the next 2 years, because it's this title that will drive NX sales, and not just end the Wii U. And I think this is, you couldn't ask for a stronger title to end a console's life. I know there have been droughts. I know there's a lot of stuff missing, but there are also some, maybe some minor classics on Wii U. I think in maybe 10 years or so, we're gonna look back on U as kind of like the Dreamcast in certain ways. It was it was the thing that no one bought.
I know what
but there were all of
you're
these
saying.
Well, no, but seriously,
I really love my Dreamcast.
Maybe it'll be the next generation's GameCube. Are you? Is that better?
I was.
Can you
it's
swallow
so hard
that a
for me.
little bit better?
I've been really disappointed with the Wii U, so it's hard for me to.
No, and I understand that, but I don't think we should dismiss some of the great games that are on there.
That is, yeah.
Is ultimately my point.
You're right.
So yeah, I mean, it's not just exciting to see a great game. It happens to be Zelda. A lot of people love that game. We saw people, running to hop in a 5-hour line to get their hands on The Legend of Zelda at E3. And I think, like in terms of NX, I think Nintendo's position is quite interesting because they will probably be entering the market with a console that's in the ballpark of a PS4. And there may be people who right now are criticizing them for that choice. Like, oh, look at them, Neo and Scorpio, they're just going to leapfrog over the NX. Poor Nintendo, they got screwed again. But you might be ignoring the fact that both Microsoft and Sony have mandated that the Xbox One and the PS4 will not be left behind.
Yeah.
Which means you are going to get all kinds of support from first and third parties on those two consoles for One and PS4 for a long time. And when it comes to third parties who have had a hard time supporting Nintendo because of their console architecture, because of their insufficient online components, that is slowly but surely looking like that's not going to be a problem for Nintendo anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't count them out. Never count them out, because the moment you do, they come out with Breath of the Wild and steal the show.
Yep.
Well, first of all, you can never count Nintendo out because they have an ungodly amount of money.
Of course.
Everyone's always like, oh, Nintendo's done for. They're going to stop making consoles and go third party. Nintendo has so much money. I forgot how many billions of dollars they have in their war chest, but
yeah,
they're going to be fine for quite some time.
Well, oh yeah, go ahead.
I think I read like the loss they posted in 2014. They could operate at that for I think 46 more years or something like that.
That sounds about right. Yep.
And the good thing is that we can talk about, and we will continue to talk about, all the different types of boxes you'll be able to buy for all your games, whether it's a new PC or a new Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo console. But in terms of Nintendo and really all of these companies, you're always going to get good games, regardless of the box it launches on.
Yep.
And so, like, even if Nintendo did pull out of hardware, that's not the end of Mario or Zelda or Donkey Kong or Mario Kart, whatever it is. Maybe the end of F-Zero and Metroid, but
Nintendo can't even say it. Nintendo could always just start making pachinko machines like Konami.
Oh,
you wanted more Metal Gear Solid? You wanted more Castlevania? But here's a pachinko machine for you.
Oh, they could. God, I hope they don't.
I hope Nintendo goes pachinko machine.
I'd rather have them shut down. Sell off Mario to Disney.
Oh.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to add about Zelda or any of the other games we talked about?
I do want to add because I purposefully left Persona 5 out of this. I was joking about that being our winner, but good Lord, I am so excited about Persona 5. All the new gameplay they were showing, everything that they've done. That's always going to be my game of the show until it comes out. I can't wait. It looks so good. I know you guys aren't really Persona fans like I am. I am a hardcore, I don't care what they do, Persona fan. Right. So yeah, just wanted to add a little bit of Persona love in there. A little bit of Persona love.
Well, I respect the fandom. It's understandable.
It looks great, honestly. From the trailers and the gameplay I've seen, if there was ever a time to jump in, it looks like 5 might be the one.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you know what? There was one last quick note, and we don't have to go long because we've been going on for a really long time. But were there any games that were kind of hidden gems that a lot of people aren't talking about that you noticed?
Huh.
I'm thinking of the one 3DS game you mentioned.
Oh, man. I keep forgetting the name. Ever Oasis.
Ever Oasis, yep.
Yeah, I think that is a very respectable gem, and it was announced during the Treehouse Live, which, man, it makes me wonder why Nintendo didn't just throw together a little direct to showcase some of these other titles, because what they showed of Pokemon Sun and Moon and this and some of the other games, it all looks really good. I mean, There's even the Mario Party game, looks so different and looked really fun. So I'm still a little surprised at the approach, but the games look great. Regardless of the approach, the games look great.
And you can't argue with results. I mean, across the board, they're winning Game of the Show awards. So,
absolutely. Yeah, you can't criticize them too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Derek, what about you? Any gems?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw this one out there. I got to hang out with the creative director for the Friday the 13th game.
Oh, man.
Because I had completely missed the trailer. And, of course, I had some vodka and tequila and bourbon and some foamy beer. But still, it was still exciting. He showed me the trailer for Friday the 13th, and he showed me some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that they're working on with some of the deaths. It looks like a lot of fun. So I don't know if y'all have looked into it, but it's a multiplayer game. So, you're either Jason or you are the campers, and it's kind of like Evolve.
Yeah. That's what it reminded me of.
Oh my gosh, man. The deaths. He showed me some of the deaths, and I was freaking out, and he was like, yeah, that's about a 2. We're going to 11. So these horrifically gruesome deaths were just, I think there's also something wrong with me, but I was rolling, checking out these deaths. It looked really, really good. But yeah, seriously, with all these games we mentioned, we haven't even that's not even the tip of the iceberg. That's like an ice cube for everything that was at E3. So I would just encourage everybody, look up every trailer at E3, look up every indie at E3. Because there's tons of stuff out there that is made for different groups of people. So yeah, just dig into it, man. There's so much. There's just so much, and I wish we could cover it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully in the weeks to come on the Joleedo Gamescast, we'll be able to focus on some of the titles that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot. And you know what? There are going to be new ones announced soon. Yeah, go ahead.
And as we get more info on the games that we've talked about today, I'm sure we'll be talking about them a lot more as well. 100%.
So anything else you guys want to add? This was E3. This is it. It's over.
This has been a long chat. Great E3. Overall spectacular presentations. Lots of great games. So I think it was a very successful E3.
Yep, it's a great E3.
Yeah, same here. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks for listening. Thank you for your support on iTunes and Twitter. Keep reviewing. You can hit us up on Twitter at Joleedo. That's JOLEEDO. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason Johnson with 3 underscores after it. And Derek, how about you?
Derek Dover. At Derek Dover. DERRICKDOVER. Very
Fantastic.
easy to find.
And Alex?
All right, I'm Alex Lee, and you can find me at Alex Lee _Seattle.
All right, fantastic. Once again, thank you for listening. This is the Joleedo Gamescast.
And you can reach us by email.
Oh, I guess if you're into that kind of thing. You can email us at joleedopodcasts@gmail.com.
That's plural, podcasts.
Well, there is an S at the end of that.
With a tss.
With the STS. Anywhere else? Well, it's not quite up yet, but very soon, medium.com/Joleedo. We'll be posting all the podcasts and timestamps for podcasts on there, as well as Tumblr shortly. Right now we're working on filling out descriptions and getting our show to as many services as possible. And that's the focus right now as we try to figure out what other topics we want to discuss and turn into shows. Alex, we're working on a new one right now, right?
Yep, working on, I believe it's going to be called Joleedo Viewcast, and talking on movies and TV. And I know we've talked about dipping our toe into the politics podcast game as well.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to get that rocking and rolling sometime soon.
Sometime
soon. Next week, because there probably won't be another midweek show for Gamescast. We're going to be shifting to a more not traditional, but a standard format for the show. One that will include news and what we've been playing, as well as any other big announcements or industry discussions that are going on. So hopefully, if you've stuck around this long, you'll join us next week.
Yeah, and the more we go, the show's going to be evolving, becoming better, hopefully becoming better, probably becoming better. That's what we're aiming for. But please let us know your thoughts, comments, stuff you want to see. Well, not see, but hear. Eventually, maybe see.
Maybe see. Maybe see and read.
One day.
Someday soon.
One day.
Yep.
But yeah, just let us know what you think, what you'd like to hear, maybe topics, ideas, stuff like that. We just want to hear from you, connect with us. It's always good to hear and connect.
Absolutely. So for Alex Lee and Derek Dover, I'm Jason Johnson. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.